Hello everyone, and welcome to this Light-O-Rama tutorial. In this video, we'll talk about transferring an RGBPlus sequence to your own custom layout, or preview, using S5. Before transferring your sequence, you must have your own preview created. If you have any Light-O-Rama CPC pixel prop packages, it's recommended that you use the Light-O-Rama Props online menu to add your entire prop package to your preview rather than drawing your own custom versions so that the sequencing effects automatically transfer when you assign a new preview. If you have not yet built your preview, please visit the Light-O-Rama website and the video tutorial page to learn about preview building before continuing with this process. Make sure to watch this entire video once through before following along. There may be additional groups of elements you need to create in your own display, which you can't do in the middle of the reassignment process. Open any one of your props to follow along with the basics of this video. This prop definition window has the same layout for all props. On the left, you can see if the prop is designated as a traditional strand of lights or as smart or dumb RGB. The center defines how many strings and lights are used on the prop, and the right-hand side gives you information about where the prop is plugged in. This drop-down indicates whether your prop is on an LOR or DMX network, and right below allows you to set the unit ID or DMX universe for your prop. With Light-O-Rama Pixie controllers and Smart Pixel props, each port of your controller has its own unit ID. The controller itself does not have a unit ID like CTB16PC or LOR 1600 series controllers. This means that a Pixie 16 has 16 unit IDs. Light-O-Rama Pixie controllers use hexadecimal numbering, which means there are 6 extra lettered assignments for every 10 numbers. Please consult the Light-O-Rama website for more information about the exact assignment order of unit IDs before building your preview. If you're transferring an RGBPlus sequence to your preview, this network column is very important. By default, the RGBPlus sequences have props split onto 4 different networks due to the large number of props included. If you are reassigning props to networks other than their defaults, make sure to look in the description of this video or on the Light-O-Rama website to learn more about the recommended maximum number of channels per network and what factors may allow you to connect more or less. After installing an RGBPlus sequence, open it in the S5 sequencer. In the top sequence menu, choose Assign Different Preview and select your personal display. In this dialog, items on the left are props in the RGBPlus sequence, and items on the right are in your own. You can see here that 45 of the props in my preview have been matched to elements in the RGBPlus sequence because I imported the CPC packages directly from the Light-O-Rama Props Online menu. If you have AC elements in your display, pressing the button to auto-match by channel will map all of the AC elements in the RGBPlus sequence to matching elements in your own display. You'll be left to manually assign any RGB props that didn't have a match. We'll start with the Rooflines. Even though there's an importable CPC package for Rooflines, the ones in my preview are custom drawn because they don't contain exactly 100 pixels per segment like the defaults in the RGBPlus sequence. To match these 4 Rooflines to the RGBPlus segments, I just need to double-click on the elements one at a time and select the respective props from the RGBPlus sequence, or in this case, Rooflines 1, 2, 3, and 4. The same situation happened with the Megatree star. Instead of importing the CPC package, a pixel tree and tree topper were already in my preview from previous years, so we'll follow the same steps to double-click, and this time select the topper for the 16x50 Megatree since that's the size of my tree. Lastly are the presents, which don't have matching default props from RGBPlus. For these types of props, you can either choose to add in your own sequencing effects after converting the sequence, or you can match them to a similar shape prop from RGBPlus. For example, these presents are outlined in the Coro, which is most similar to the candy cane shapes from the RGBPlus sequences. Even if your prop has a different number of pixels or is a different shape, you might be able to apply this concept and apply it to a shape from the RGBPlus sequences. Just keep in mind that certain props won't translate well to others. For example, you may not want to take sequencing effects for a multi-strand pixel tree and try to apply it to a roofline, which only has 1 strand of pixels. It's also very important to match the groups of elements as well, since effects are placed at both the individual and group levels for elements. This is particularly important for the 3 Megatree plus star groups, the matrix group, and the pixel state groups. If you have any of these props in your display, make sure to have groups created so that you don't miss out on the whole group effects. If you only have a megatree and no topper, create a group with just your megatree so that the whole group effects can still apply. If you have pixel stakes in your display, make sure to match all 4 of the group rows and the whole group of pixel stakes. Everything remaining on the left side are simply props that you don't have in your own display. It's the green check marks on the right that are important. Once you have everything matched, click Save Match Settings so that you can easily load this profile for future sequences. After you click Continue, the sequence will convert and all of the RGBPlus motion effect rows will be inserted into your matched props. The first thing you'll want to do is create a new grid view so that you only see all of the props in your display instead of everything plus the RGBPlus elements that you aren't using. Learn more about creating grid views on the Light-O-Rama tutorial page of the website. At this point, you can copy and paste sequencing for additional AC controllers in your personal display, modify any smart pixel motion effects for any prop, or add in your own custom effects for any unmatched custom props. The last optional step is to remove the archived props by going to Sequence, then Manage Archived Props. Archived props are all of the RGBPlus elements that didn't have a match in your preview. If you don't plan to add in any of these props in the future, you can delete them from the sequence. If you'd like to keep them to use them for effect ideas, or think you might add them in the future, you can leave them in the sequence. They don't take up any network space and they won't control real lights. After your sequence is transferred and organized the way you like, the last step is to press play and enjoy watching the RGBPlus sequence on your own layout. And that's all for this tutorial. Visit the Light-O-Rama website to shop for sequences now.